Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Muteless on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy. I have no time for Discord. Hashtag baseball dad.
This is Aaron. I go by Cent Prime for Life on Discord.
All right, quick announcements. As always, links in the show notes. The last few weeks we've been doing topics from listeners that have sent in topics. If you have a topic you'd like us to do, please message me. You can find me on Discord, or you can message the Facebook page directly. I check that at least once a week. So, anyway, with that, Parker, what's next?
We got some news.
Hey,
news! Yes.
News.
So news today is all about Namor. Namor, we have a card for him. He is quite identical on the front and back. So if you've seen the front, you've seen it all.
I've seen everything.
Yeah. So I am absolutely over the moon for Namor. So I'll go last. You guys tell me what you think about Namor. I'll tell you why you're all wrong. He's the best. Go ahead.
I hate him.
Just
I
like
think he
the
does.
shape.
He's bad. Everything about him sucks.
I hate the fact that he's just basically a naked dude. But one of his superpowers to me is exactly what I've been looking for since the beginning of the game. Yeah, he could be 10 points. I'd still take him.
Tell me the ability you wanted since the beginning of the game. Let me guess.
Time Stone.
I want to guess.
Nope.
I bet it's the second part of Atlantean Might, where damage caused by the character's attacks can't be reduced or prevented by superpowers.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah,
It's the only thing on
I
the
knew.
card that's unique.
I love it.
Plus, turtles.
Yeah,
He's got turtles.
Wave of turtles.
He's got
He's
got octopus and crabs, and turtles. What the fuck?
He's Mr. Nimbus.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I like his kit. I think he's cool.
He controls the police.
The police?
Yeah, that's what Mr. Nimbus does.
Oh my god.
Aaron, tell me what you think about him. I'll tell you why he's amazing.
I am intrigued. Medium base, long mover, with the ability to charge off the rip in either Steve, R&D, Wong, or with the Time Stone. Seems really interesting. Obviously, his kit is, I hesitate to say complete glass cannon, right? Because he's 4/4/3 with a reroll. But he can be, I think, potentially fragile, especially if you're going to kit him out with the Time Stone. 6 threat. I normally want my 6 threats to be a little more survivable. Range 2 means he's got to get really into the thick of it. So your play pattern is, do you go in first to take advantage of this charging 5 or 6 threat monster to, take people out? How do you keep him alive on the crackback, either that turn or when the person you just killed wakes up? So do you charge in, get one attack and walk away? That also seems bad. So clearly need to put him on the table and figure out exactly how what the play pattern looks like. But yes, I'm intrigued. I'm actually super intrigued because one of the Discords I read said the Time Stone is being revised.
Ooh.
What could possibly go wrong with the Time Stone doing something that it doesn't currently do?
Right. So and take that with the biggest grain of salt. So yeah, this was Time Gem parentheses edited. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that the Time Stone's being changed, or was that just some formatting? So who knows? I'm not super intrigued.
Can you post a picture of that for me?
I'm not super interested if he has the Time Stone as it exists now. I'm really not sure it's worth the extra threat unless you really just want it to turn on his charge every turn. In which case,
I think that's just
might
the
be worth
Discord note saying that the message has been edited. I don't think he typed edited.
Okay.
I can't tell.
Okay, so everyone can disregard everything I just said. But yeah, so that's what I was super intrigued that the Time Gem gets changed to be something that's not right now. If it retains its original function, I'm less excited. And would then usually try to play him as a 5 threat. But that's just my 2 cents. Okay, Parker, why am I wrong?
Oh, so far, I don't think you've said anything wrong. Sorry, man, I'm just bad with my throat today. I think I got really excited for him, or rather, he really fits in my play style, specifically with his new leadership card, which we talked about very briefly. It was already in Adepticon. But if I'm willing to give up a tactic slot for it, he becomes basically like a very offensive diving version of the Captain America Cable Zemo brick that I have been playing, where everybody's rerolling, giving themselves the defensive dice, but it's very defensive. I'm waiting people to come to me because Cable's throwing damage out there, and people feel like they have to come get me, and Zemo is kind of pinballing out and fixing problems. Namor plus Zemo plus a third character that you can make cheap bodyguard like Luke Cage, for example, but there's the list goes on of those kind of characters. They dive in, right? They go, right into the thick of it. Specifically because Nemar's charismatic leader is not the same as Strategic Genius. So when they're within 2 of each other, they give each other 2 rerolls on attack and defense. The Invaders, which is their shield ability, says as long as they're within 2 of a friendly character, they reroll skulls, and they reroll an extra die on defense. So now he rolls kind of like 7 on defense and physical and energy. He doesn't, of course, roll exactly 7. So if you get a whole lot of hits, he doesn't help. But he's consistently rolling a lot of blocks with Zemo next to him. But that is a lot of glass cannons. There's 2 glass cannons sitting next to each other, feeding each other lots of rerolls if they don't have any ability to move them. So that's why you put in something like a Luke Cage who's going to stand there and say, no, you at a key moment when you could overwhelm my characters with dice, I'm going to step in and say no. So basically, it is one of my favorite things that I like about this game, which is characters within range 2 of each other, giving each other stacking bonuses and making it really difficult to engage them without just getting reamed. 6 dice plus a native reroll is great, full stop. 6 dice plus potentially 2 rerolls if you're hanging out with Zemo, and you're rerolling skulls because you're next to Zemo, is really amazing. Atlantean Might is great. I don't think you ever do Time Stone unless you find 6 points is something you need in Shield for Invaders or something like that. But I don't think you ever do. I think it is specifically just the 5.1. I think you, as long as he's clustered together with Zemo, it's amazing. 2 character package. You can put a 3rd character in there to protect him. And then when you're ready, they can just go anywhere and chase down anything. We talk a lot about this game about being able to go and get models that need to die. Your characters that pick up and run like Shadowcat, and he can go and get them. So I really, really like him right now because he basically facilitates exactly what I wanted to do in the Steve Cable Zemo package that I played so much for Adepticon. Only he does it offensively. So that one was very static, and if they decided to just run with objectives, I lost. But he can actually go get them. He can just, and still also kind of turtle up. I really like the package. I'm really excited to play this. I will be playing Shield Invaders a lot when his box drops.
Aaron, you don't like him?
No, I actually like him a lot.
Okay.
I had nothing negative to say, and
Okay.
Parker just expanded on some other, uses. I don't have anything.
Okay. I think
else.
he fits right into a 5 slot. I think he looks like a 5 to me. I mean, and he comes equipped with a drop your asset token, which is holy shit balls on that guy. Okay.
Before damage is dealt, yeah.
All right, what's next?
Next we have the Prince's Protection. It is unaffiliated, which is kind of cool. Anytime you want to play Neymar, you also get yet another Tactics card to protect your guy effect.
Sure, this one's actively bad though. Kind of. It gets a -2 on my negative 20 to 20 scale.
Ooh, do tell.
So I have my 5-threat glass cannon. The person that you normally want to be playing Heroes for Hire on, not with. Right? So the only reason I would use this is to proactively move him closer, but he's already got a charge, a long moving charge. Or if you really, at the end of a turn, need to push enemy characters within 2 of where he's at. I mean, that's really the saving grace for this card. Need this card to be hot garbage trash without that last paragraph. I think that opens up some interesting play patterns. I still don't love it, and it's probably not going to make my my 10, but I might try it out after it comes out.
You could use it as a defensive maneuver. Like someone goes to attack you, you move to them to get further away from other threats. But yeah, I generally agree.
The pushing thing is particularly really interesting. I don't know how often. So it works really well if somebody needs to build, right? To do a big spender or something. A lot of spenders are lower range than their other attacks. That just general. That's not 100% the case, but in the game, a lot of people's spenders are range 2 or range 3.
There's a lot of people that have bad long range attacks.
Right. So the idea is somebody walks, your character goes, okay, I'm going to attack your guy with lower defense to build some power that didn't do my spender. It has some cool effects like throw or something. And then Neymar says, okay, here, now you're attacking Neymar. And after you do that, you're push. So are you going to use your second, action to come back to Neymar, or you're going to spender Neymar because he's not the one you wanted to spender. But again, hit your 5, cost guy who has, you're probably invested a lot in Neymar staying alive. So using him for this tactic seems really dubious, but it would work to disrupt your opponent's turn.
What's the theme of this card?
He is protecting his allies.
Mm-hmm.
He jumps in front and pushes everyone away and screams at them with a trident.
Oh, okay. It's they don't have to. I misread it the first time saying if they target Namor, that Namor
it's someone
plays
else.
the card.
It is exactly. It's Comrade's Keeper.
Yeah.
Except instead of a push, you get a
that
throw.
part. That makes sense. He's protecting. I was looking at the card art and it's just Namor. I'm like, who's he protecting? Then I saw a Human Torch in the background.
What's specific kind of interesting is it says you push all enemy characters within 2 away. So you would actually disrupt more than just the character who's doing the attacking.
Yeah,
which is
possibly. Yeah. Like I said, I like
great
all
on,
of the
researcher.
Yeah, I think you could make it into a 10. But I
Comrade's
don't know how
Keeper to be these last 2 bullets, and I think that'd be amazing. Like instead of a throw, which is good in itself, right? Anyway, I just don't like it on him.
Is it you place within one of the character that
the
was
attacker,
targeted?
Not the attackee.
Yeah, so you could place behind them and push them forward.
Yep. There's lots of really cool things you can do with it. I love the card, except for the fact that it's not anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it's potential, but tactics cards are so hard to get on the table right now because usually 4 of your cards are pre-selected. It's like, is this beating out fallback or mission objective or restricted slots?
I think this is one of these cards to watch if there is a tactics card shakeup anytime soon. This is one of those that might gain extra traction if you're planning on playing Namor. Like you said, a lot of those cards that are kind of staples right now, if they choose to purposely rotate them out because they want the meta to shift, this is one of those that could gain extra stock.
I mean, sure, you can say that about all the cards that remain, though, right? So I still don't like it.
I think there are some cards that still stay below the power curve, right? And I think this one could go above the power curve.
Well, you're talking about playing him in Shield specifically, though. Like, aren't there already like 10 great cards in Shield?
You're not wrong. And if you're also playing the Invaders, that counts as one of your tactics slot. Like, yeah, it's really, really hard to play this card. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you're more likely to see this card not in Shield.
What's next?
We never talked about Shang-Chi and Adepticon. Do you want to talk about Shang-Chi? I'm giving you this option in this news today. We now know the back of his card is identical to his front, I believe.
God, no.
God, no. I thought I can't find. I actually looked for. I have the back of his card, but I could not find the front of his card anywhere. So, could somebody tell me where the front of his card is in the internet?
Go to Jarvis Protocol.
Oh,
MCPDB.
I don't know why I didn't look at it. Of course.
It's on database.
You could scour a bunch of random Discords. You can go to the 2 sites that we know have them all up.
Yeah. What a big fat dummy I am.
Yeah, his spender changes to a good spender.
So I am going to stand on my hubris block and claim credit for fixing MCP right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So back when we did our character cards for WTC, which is probably 8-9 months ago, I got really creative with the design space for creating ones for ourselves. Fast forward to now, when what's coming out, like look at Shang-Chi's, both Namor and Shang-Chi, they have superpowers or attacks, which have multiple effects that you can then choose from, which I think is very innovative and interesting design space. But I started it 10 months ago. Thank you.
With bullet point options?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my whole really like that aspect of kind of where they're going. Kind of. Like Namor is great. He can do one of three things with his attacks. Shang-Chi is a little more interesting because Shang-Chi changes so much. It's like you have to memorize 5 different fucking characters to figure out what the hell this guy does.
That's generally a bad thing.
Complexity is going to... Yeah, like if your opponent... If you ever play against Shang-Chi for the first time, and you're just like, I'll figure out what they do as I play them, that you won't. Because you'll play him in one game and they'll do something, you play another game and they'll do completely something else. Like, wait, he can do that?
Dim Mock is funny. I like that a lot.
Why?
Yeah, I just like it that if you hit the stagger condition on his 10,000 shape strike and then immediately hit him with the Dim Mock, you just activate them. That's cool. I like that. I just think that's
That's
cool.
your consolation prize for not having killed them with a 6 and 10 dicer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Famously, we've talked about this before. 10 dice attacks fail to kill things constantly, right? You roll 3 on 10 and you go, well, shit. This is not just a consolation.
Yep.
Yeah, these guys could not. This character couldn't be more different on the front and the back. I don't know why. I hadn't looked at the front, so I hadn't looked at the front since Adepticon, so I didn't even remember.
Yeah. No. The office wants you to pick a difference in these cards.
Yeah.
They both have the same builder and supreme martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
They have the word Shang on it.
In that, you are correct. I guess they both actually have hidden flower under the leaves as a superpower too. So 3 things are the same, and 3 things are very different.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll go first. Initial take on Shang-Chi is 2 thumbs up. I think the character has a lot of really interesting things going on. Obviously, charge on a 4th threat is, I want to say required, but given the rest of his kit, it's required. Throwing enemies short after they attack you is amazing. Again, within range 2. And then having different options on what he can do with his builder, whether it's advance or push characters, I think is incredible. Like the amount of different things you can do with the model is great. But then you look at his health pool and you're like, 5 is really bad. And you're not wrong. Supreme Martial Artist only goes so far. He basically has Iron Fist's defensive stat line with a little extra bump because he's 4/3/4. So he's going to die. Then on his flip side, he goes up to 6 health and gets a new superpower that basically says, I can heal myself. So I think he seems relatively balanced between his defensive stat line and the interesting things he can do with this kit. And I look forward to more balanced character designs in the future.
Yeah, he looks interesting.
So this guy's like a PlayStation, right? He only does everything. Like there's not an effect. There's not like really like an effect in the game that's not somewhere in his card. Like he places enemies on his backside, he throws on his front side when attacked.
Mm-hmm.
He
advances. Pushes, he stuns.
Yeah, he pushes, he stuns, he staggers, he activates, he places himself while he attacks. He does all kind of cool stuff. Anyway, then just basically charging and perfect martial artist, right? Within 3. That's a lot of cool stuff. He's definitely super balanced around the fact that if he just gets hit with a building, that's it, right? But I love that, right? He's like the greatest martial artist ever. But if somebody throws a Mack truck at him, that's it, right? He just falls down. So
yep.
I think they really did. They did. Not only did they nail like him as a character in a world of superheroes, but they made him super fascinating. My prediction for this character is he will be wildly unpopular, and the reason why is I think people will pick him up and not be willing to play the dozen games at least it will take to like figure out and memorize and see all the things he can do, and people will just get flummoxed and go, he just died, so he must be bad.
Do you see him as complicated to play?
I think people will not utilize his whole kit, right? You just won't remember all the things until you play him a bunch. I think he's kind of like...
there's definitely something to that. You're not wrong. But I think a lot of his stuff is fairly intuitive to use, but is very complicated to try and read in a, like, 1-game sample size. But that's true of a lot. Like, trying to read Magneto's kit and then play against him immediately is all but impossible for most people, like, their first time playing. And Shang-Chi, I think, will be like that. But a lot of his stuff is fairly intuitive. It's just wordy. I say my biggest complaint about the character is that it's just convoluted wording.
Mhm.
Because a lot, like everything he does, like you said, exists in the game. It's
Mhm.
like, well, what does he do? Oh, he can push people. Oh, he can like drag them. Like, okay, I get all that, but like, it's just so many words that you're just gonna have to watch it happen a couple times.
I think he's also one of those characters that people are going to get done at the end of the game, and either your opponent or yourself, you look down and you go, "Oh shit, I should have used 1-inch punch there, but I forgot I have to spend power when I'm attacking with my basic to do that." Or, "Oh shit, I should have used flow like water because then I would have moved short to pick up the objective." Like there are so many things he'll get to do that you'll have to find to do them, and so if he'll reward a reflective player who likes to go back and look at all the options they could have had and see if they could have improved their game. He'll definitely, that person will appreciate this character for sure because he had an option, right? That's the idea. He's full of options. So you probably had an option to do better than you thought you were doing. But for that reason, I don't think a lot of people will like him because I think a lot of people like their characters to be a little bit more, not necessarily on a rail, a little bit more obvious, right? He's not obvious.
I don't know. I guess maybe.
Well, he becomes the 4th threat with a 6-die builder.
And charge.
And charge, yes. I mean, he's competing with the likes of Black Dwarf and who's the other one?
Gamora.
He kind of reminds me of like a 4th threat Angela, where he's got a lot of short range mobility built into his kit. If he can get within what is initially combat threat range, he can kind of go wherever he wants. But if you get outside of that range, then he's a lot less useful, especially on the backside.
He very much wants to be within 2 of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Most of his superpowers trigger by being within 2.
Yeah.
So I just see his relatively low health, which is required because he's a Supreme Martial Artist, but can still just go down to like a 4-die attack. People are going to have games where he's amazing and he's always in martial artist range and he's just doing everything that he wants. And other games where he just gets one shot twice. And
you mean like when Silver Sable just shoots him in the face?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but what if he shoots you in the face?
She just straight headshots him twice, and you're God damn it!
Just an energy within 2, like count blanks, and you just roll 3 hits. You're like, okay, I guess I blocked 0. Like, how many times has my Mystique died to like a physical attack from within 2? All the flipping time. It just happens. So you're paying a premium, the 4th threat premium for the character. Again, not much more defensive than Iron Fist. You need to be able to use the rest of his kit. And
it's kind of similar to Spider-Woman for defense. Like, would you rather have stealth or martial arts tout to 3? Because with stealth, there's that short area they have to stand in to get to attack you with no martial artist. But
I think it's going to depend on the game, right?
100%. Like,
for me, I'd rather have.
You told me my opponent doesn't have range 4 attacks, then I'd choose martial arts out to 3. But saying in a vacuum, what's better? I think that's fairly close. I don't know that there's an obvious winner.
In a vacuum, I'd rather have Supreme Martial Artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think. But
I think this is, of the 2 characters, I definitely like this guy more. I think I really dislike Namor's character design. I like this much more. But again, I'd like to see them both on the table first.
Why do you dislike Namor's characters? I didn't get that from your other comments.
You can't guess. I said specifically I hated it.
You didn't say that's the only comment he had.
The character.
The only thing I said about him is I hate this character. No, I was talking about the game design. I actually don't care about Namor at all. And from the comics, he's fine.
No, I thought you were talking like the model that you hated.
No, I hate the character design.
You hate the character design. I need more. Give me some.
Can you really not guess why?
No.
There's not one thing about him that normally upsets me.
He's a stealer.
He's an auto stealer. And not only that, he makes you drop all assets. Admittedly, it is restricted by assets, which is the other thing I fucking hate, which is characters are horribly imbalanced based on what mission they're playing. It's like, oh, we're playing hammers. Namor is a god. Because first of all, he might generate 3 power a turn. He can spend 6 power to make you drop all of your hammers, then pick up all the hammers and move away. And that's his 2 actions. And you're like, okay, whatever. It's fucking stupid. I hate that design. More importantly, I think it means that we should expect more, that Steelers just can become mandatory to play with in every game. That makes me not happy.
So my counter to that is I think if you're playing a list to steal, you typically want to steal and run away. And if you're doing that with Namor, I think you really better be winning the game for sure. You typically want to play wide, right?
His steal
just-
and run away is making 2 7-dice attacks, though, with rerolls. And that's assuming like
How's he
you're not,
running
you're already-
away?
He literally gets to move away after he picks up the extracts as part of the ability on his card.
Yeah,
It's
short.
literally
He
one run on
advances
sends of
short.
pick up all the extracts you can,
Yeah.
and then get to move away as part of a secondary effect of an attack.
Sure, that's going to require like I guess 6 power and to move
It's
short.
not-
Like
If
I don't
he
know.
if he didn't have a killer builder and also generate multiple per turn innately, I'd say it's way less likely to be relevant. But
I see him being the counter to a scenario team. I don't think a scenario team picks him. I think the attrition team picks him to be able to have play into other people's Steelers.
yeah, I agree. So the answer to fight Steelers is play your own Steelers. That's what the devs just told us.
It always has been.
That's why I'm upset.
I don't. Okay, so you're confronted with the reality we've already known.
Right, no, like that. This just proves that the game design moving forward is just play better Steelers.
Okay.
That was the answer the whole along. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, thanks for not telling me anything.
So you're probably right, but I am more intrigued on having a 5 threat that does this than another 3 threat. Right? I think another 3 threat.
Do I
with
think
stealing
he's
would be
more
bad.
balanced than the broken Steelers we already have? Probably. But, I mean, again, I don't find the Steeler game meta interesting, so I think it's just it looks like it's moving a direction I don't like. That's why I don't like it.
Okay. Thank you for adding some of that meat. It was delicious.
I bet.
We can't fully talk about Shang-Chi without some tactics cards.
So he has a Chi Mastery, or Key Mastery. You pronounce it how
Key.
you want.
It's key.
That's his tactics. That's his tactics card, right? Yeah. That's
Oh, wait.
yes.
It's actually Chi. That is Chi Mastery.
Mhm.
I haven't read it yet.
Okay. So in order to stagger on his builder, he needs a crit block. Parker, what are your chances of getting a crit block on your builder if you combine it with Chi Mastery?
100%.
No, false. False.
Trap! Got him!
Got him. What if you roll 6 skulls, Parker?
Then you need to be in Web
different
Warriors
leaderships, yeah,
or the Invaders.
But let's call it
false.
really, really high.
You need to be in Web Warriors and contesting an objective.
Close
Or
to
just
100.
within two of an
Now who
within
doesn't
two
know
of
how
a
to play the
friendly and
game?
Invaders. That would also do it.
Close to 100%. Yeah. So
More
That-
importantly, I can't wait for the fucking spike rolls that this is going to create. We already seen how insane, bats can be in some games. So
do you think this card is broken?
no, it's only a 1 character, but it's
Okay.
it's going to be. I think it's going to be like exceptional healing. I think you'll see it in most games with Shang-Chi, and it will create really weird moments in the game. When you're just like, oh, I left you on 2. Nope, you're dead. Like, you're just saying it out loud. Or it's like, oh, no, I'm just going to live. And you're like, oh, okay.
He can't use it for defense. It's attack only.
Oh, sorry. He can change your defense rolls. That's what I read.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you hit like your 2 absorb on like Bishop,
you have
he's like,
5
I'll
hits,
just change
you're
those
like-
to skulls.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, okay, great.
So it can guaranteed push 2 damage through, basically. Or, you can use it to get a stagger.
Okay, I have a rules question for you.
Oh, shit.
During the attack, modify dice step of the attack, that is any point during the mod step, right?
Yes.
So like
the
before
four
you
mini
go,
steps.
Yeah, before you go to reroll your defense dice, I would like to play this card and change both of your defense dice to skulls. Or because it's modding defense dice, does it have to go in the defender mod step? Or mod defender's attack defense dice step? Because it's not a normal dice mod, it's playing attack this card. I don't know. I assume... Because a lot of the other dice mod cards say when, Recal says at the end of the mod step.
So this absolutely needs a little clarification. Because normally I would modify my dice and then modify your dice at different...
Because, it allows
So
you to
do I
either.
spend 3 power, I then choose to change 1 result in mine, I let you reroll yours, and then I use my extra, die ability.
So if you called me over to a table right now, my interpretation would be you have to choose either attack or defense, and the card is played in that step. So it would be in the 4th mod step if you are modding your opponent's defense dice. It'd be in the 1st mod step if you're modding your own attack dice.
And you're saying it's attack or
and
defense,
I would
but
say
not
you
either
couldn't
or?
split it. You would have to do either or. Because you could argue by the nomenclature that is change 2 dice in either the attack or the defender's pool. It doesn't say mod 2 dice in either pool.
That is the cleanest way to do it, which precludes the issue I had with, I spend power and then mod dice 2 different times.
Yeah.
If you assume it is either attacker or defender pool and you cannot do both, then I concur that it would be during the appropriate step of the modify dice.
Okay.
So it would be after you rerolled.
All right, what's your trash scale?
We're giving it a 4.
Ooh.
4 sees play. It's just not an auto include.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Aaron's trash scale, or what do I think about
No,
the
what
card?
do you think in normal human terms?
Oh. I mean, being able to do 2 auto damage is pretty fucking good. If I took that character, I'm taking that card. That's how good it is.
I think it's better than, what is it, the execution or whatever, the husband-wife card for Corvus where they ignore defense dice. I think it's better than that.
For sure better than that.
Well, I think that gets played sometimes.
I
think it's less good now.
Back in 1996.
Back in my day. Aaron, what was it like back in your day? Tell us.
Dusty. It was really dusty.
It was dusty.
Usually from the wagons.
I've been told by the internet I should talk to my elders about how World War II was, so if you could just let me know.
So I actually have too much respect for the people to make light of them, but
okay.
Way to hit a nerve.
There we go.
It's not business, it's personal.
Right. Parker, did you like Chi Mastery?
I think without a text card rework, I don't know if this goes into the 10. Even with Shang-Chi in your list, maybe somebody can show me how I'm so wrong that you could activate a character if you did the stagger first on his backside. It just feels like I love Rube Goldberg machines, and this feels like a little bit even for me.
I don't think you're going to use it to cause stagger. I think you're just going to use it to kill people.
Yeah.
I was just saying, 2 damage, I caught you. Like, it's going to make your spikes nuclear. When you randomly I did 3, just kidding, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Being able to remove an activation from the table seems pretty good.
Yeah. Not to mention, your last rapid fire, you killed Shang-Chi exactly. Just kidding. Like, oh, no. And now he gets to activate with, 7 or 8 power.
No, he
doesn't
can't
work defensively.
not
Oh,
defensive.
right. He can't. I keep thinking he can do it on his defense. It's just on attacking. I misspoke. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think when I'm looking at my 5 cards, maybe this makes it in, so maybe. But I see the priority being low for me specifically. But I also didn't find Bats wasn't a huge pull for me either. And I get it. I'm not saying anybody's wrong.
Bats is more used for other stuff too, less so because it's only 1. So what are the odds the 1 matters? But 2, getting 2 extra damage through is a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. How about this? Is this the best combat mod card ever released? Is Recal better?
No.
No, this is obviously more restricted. You can only play with Shang-Chi, but
I think Recal's better. It's a different tool.
It's usually a defense. It's better on defense.
Yeah, it's just different.
Bats might actually be better because with iHulk guarantees you a throw on top.
Sure,
So
but again, it's not a combat mod. That's used for something totally
it's a
different.
damage mod onto the person standing behind your target.
It's a trigger mod, is all it is. Yeah.
Like
it's just better than what's that card? Bird of Prey, right?
Is this better than Smash? And this is not better than Bird of Prey. Bird of Prey is better.
You think so?
The other one with Iron Man's better. Yes.
Ricochet Blast is better than this.
Both Bird of Prey and Ricochet are better than this because Bird of Prey
I think
seven die all
this is better
rerolls.
than Bird of Prey for sure. I think.
What? You are smoking.
It's only playable by 1 character and it's only used against flying targets. That's a pretty big restriction.
This shares the same first restriction.
Okay. If this was only usable against characters with Wall Crawler, I still think it might be better.
Oh.
Oh my god. I can't imagine taking Shang-Chi without this card. I mean,
I'm just curious where you guys
really?
were on it. I can see playing it, but I think...
Oh, okay. I understand. Well, I would play Shang-Chi without the card.
I mean, if you had to.
I think Shang-Chi's interesting.
I personally couldn't see playing this card without Shang-Chi. Unlike my Hellfire Club. Anyway, I was just curious where you guys are at on it. So what's next, Parker?
That was pretty much it, because we've seen
it?
everything else, unless you guys wanted to talk about, the invaders. But
no.
So yeah, that's the news.
It makes me cautiously optimistic for releases coming down the pipe because we can nitpick, whether we like or dislike certain aspects of the character, but I think the design philosophy, maybe not philosophy, the design of these two cards is superior to designs that have come out before.
I think Shang-Chi is a little too complex. I don't like rules bloat as much.
I can understand that.
And so I think it's just too wordy for a 4-pointer. Like if he's meant to be this like big deal like one-shot character, he's supposed to be more complex than everybody else just because like a Doctor Strange kind of character where it's like he's just got so much going on and it's just an exception to the curve. Okay, I get it. That's fine. But if every card started coming out like this, it's frustrating. Because that's what like Marvel Strike Force did. Like everything they did was just times infinity, and it was just like and then on the rules cards. Like, please don't write these 30 paragraph cards that are just so complex nobody can remember what they do. It's not fun. Nobody likes it. And so like within reason, I think it's getting closer to that, but it's definitely not there yet. Namor, I think, is probably the sweet spot. Like 5-pointers, got a lot of rules, but like they're not overly complicated.
3 of them are passives. They just kind of
sure, exactly, and that makes it better. Like the bullet point thing, I think is interesting and cool, and I like it. But I think they went a little ham on it for the first time. Yeah, I liked the Chi Mastery card. I think that's a good spot. I feel like that's where your average card that's worth printing should be. Like it's worth note. Like every character should have a card that's worth note playing with them. And then these like fucking strength and courage cards, throw that shit away. Like, why are you wasting time printing those? Anyway, well, I guess that's going to wrap up the news. Parker, I have a question for you.
Oh, sure.
You watched X-Men 97, right?
I did.
Yeah, it was so good. Anyway, why did Cyclops close his school?
I don't know.
He only had one pupil.
Okay, so I'm laughing.
It took so long.
So
I'm like 5 seconds of silence.
This is the reason why I'm laughing, because the first thing I want to say is, but he has 2 pupils. That's the first. I wanted to go like, actually,
yeah,
and I held it in, and that's when I laughed because I realized like what I wanted to do so badly.
You realized you were about to try and correct a bad joke.
Yeah, I was just like, why am I trying to fix this?
Okay. I like that one. That was a good one. Jeremy, did you like that one?
No.
So you liked the other two, but this was the bridge too far was the joke that was actually funny.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Okay. Jeremy only likes the really bad dad jokes. Roger, for the future.
Correct, thank you.
I'll keep them bad. All right, so we're back at it this week. Our main topic is we're going to try and finish up talking about deployment maps. So we left off last week, ready to do map E as in Echo, also known as engage the enemy is what I like to call it. It's like the center line, except it's turned directly between the 2 players. Let's talk about Echo. The first point is the close objective is in the same spot as the close delta objective. So if you put down a large base, you should, in directly next to it, you are contesting it. So that's important for some of these, like Demons Downtown. You can end up getting yourself incinerated on the first power phase if you're not paying attention.
Can confirm.
Yep. Also for Montesi, Hulk can pick up the objective before he moves, which is relevant.
One time on Demons Downtown, I wanted Red Skull to give Hulk an extra power, and I got the power, but also incinerate.
I would even argue that incinerate token got you even more power later.
Yeah.
Okay, what can you guys tell me about Echo deployments?
If you have an Echo deployment, you should probably have Crimson Dynamo in your roster.
Fair point.
Which says more about Crimson Dynamo, I think, than Echo deployments, but yeah.
So Echo deployment is the deployment that forces the most mid-fight.
Most engagement, yeah.
Right?
It's dogpile.
Yep. Whether it's Researcher, Gamma, or Demons, you're probably fighting with your entire list in and about, a 5-inch radius. Mm-hmm. So you want to bring people who are going to be synergistic and able to contribute to a tight-knit fight. So if you have ease, you need to be looking for people who do and contribute to that type of a fight, like a Dynamo, like an Agent Venom. right? Can throw people, can swing, has a beam. He's not the best person on an E.
Sure.
However, who else? Vision wouldn't be bad.
Shocker. Shock everybody.
Yeah.
Mysterio's fucking great on E's.
Yep. Grand Illusion.
Grand Illusion just shits all over people.
Loki. If you're talking about a 4-inch bubble
ASM
or a range 4 bubble.
I love ASM on E's because he can one move to the point and he gets to witty banter everyone, and it's theoretically contesting. It's so great.
Some characters that lose value on E's are mobility-based characters. Rhino, not great on an E. Juggernaut is always fine. Those characters are never wrong, but...
Yeah, I'd say the best thing about Rhino and Juggernaut is they can transition from the middle to the opponent's objective very easily.
And die, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're probably safer on your opponent's extract or secure than they are in the middle. But yeah, you're not wrong.
Brandon can probably...
Go ahead.
Okay. Brandon can probably comment more, but there are a couple affiliations that I found love the E because they're very synergistic. They like to pile on themselves and make kind of a death ball. A-Force is one. Would you say Brotherhood is one? Like Magneto Brotherhood is one?
Magneto Brotherhood definitely is. Yeah. Obviously, Mystique is kind of designed to spread out more. But yeah, I would say the two brickiest factions would probably be Brotherhood with Magneto and A-Force. Mm-hmm. Shield can be kind of bricky, but they want to spread out a little bit more than this.
New Daredevil Defenders kind of likes this. They kind of like to
Defenders can. Midnight Suns like it too, generally. Not to the extent of the first two we named, because I think those are like the pinnacle of those two. I would say Convocation, actually. The way I play Combo likes Ease a lot, because they kind of just want to create this tempo attrition. Pretty much any Thanos list.
This goes to say if your affiliation favorite affiliation is Brotherhood or Air Force, play them. But if you see them and somebody flips over Gamma with A-Force or Demons with Brotherhood, you should immediately be wary because their synergies might be better than yours.
One thing I think is super important for this mission that I don't know how many people do is I think this is the one that requires maybe, this is going to sound stupid, but maybe the most game knowledge to play because it's the simplest mission in my opinion. But what it actually does is requires you to have forethought into later turns. Most missions you need thought into just the first turn, but stuff like Researcher and Gamma and Demons will force you to have long-term foresight on what's going to happen. Because if you're playing Researcher versus Thanos, you need to know how dominant he's going to be on the middle and have a plan to deal with it. If you just walk into it, I think you're going to lose. And also for the first turn, knowing when you should start committing to the middle. Because a lot of teams that are playing these missions against you have a hard plan and they're just looking to fish out your models early. So if you just go, oh, he's got 4 models, I've got 5 models, I'll just outnumber him in the middle, and you start feeding them your models, that's a recipe for disaster. So it's more about understanding your opponent's list and their objectives and when you need to or can start committing to the center point. Does all that make sense?
After I've played a lot of these kind of missions, you guys can disagree with me, but I've found having 2-pointers that are in my list have been more beneficial in this kind of thing, and because I love jumping. Because as the game gets longer, you're talking about kind of the end of the game or the end of the turn. I love being able to send my 2-pointer across the table to their back E, and contesting it or taking it. I feel like that's one of the things that at first I never took Black Widow, for example, but 2-point Black Widow on these. Because like, what is she going to do? She's like a mobility character, likes to pick up extracts and hang out in corners. Like, this will be terrible for her. But after I was kind of forced to put in her to make points in certain situations, I realized that she could have huge benefit just sitting on my back E until all of a sudden she crossed all the way to their back E at a key moment to take a lead. I feel like, or prevent them from having a point when I needed them to slow down. I think there is a point to having one mobility character, and lower point ones are premium, I think.
Okay. I think because this deployment's so simple, we have some of the strangest missions on them. Like Montesi is kind of an obscure extract. Research is extremely abstract. Gamma is fairly specialized. Demons is probably the only true simple one of all of them. Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on this?
Not really. I think you guys covered it. I don't really enjoy E's unless I am 3 models, big guys, and I just want to kill you. The rest of E is just to me like, oh, okay. I don't. So I think it's easier to say who hates E's than to say who doesn't like them. Like, I think everybody's got a list to deal with the E's and like whatever, but Webbs does not enjoy being caught on fire and not be able to stand on points.
You guys remember when Gamma was higher scoring?
Yeah.
It's a crazy time.
Back
We
when
don't talk about those
Wakanda was
times.
king.
We don't talk about the dark times yet. You could score 6 points on Gamma.
Oops, 6 points.
Oops, we were playing, what was it, Cubes Gamma. Oops, I scored 10 or 11. You're like, oh god.
So I think people should really think about Gamma in their lists. And the reason I say that is that if you have Prio and you pick your secures, he who goes last on Gamma has an advantage. And so if you're choosing your secures normally, why would you give your opponent an advantage by picking a scenario that is advantageous for them? It's bad. It will literally lose games. So anyway, food for thought. I don't think most people should be taking Gamma. Go ahead.
You're saying that you shouldn't take Gamma because the person who goes last has an advantage on Gamma.
Correct. So if you're normally you want to force a middle fight with your, say, your Thanos team. Gotcha. Hey, we're going to play on Gamma or Demons. So you're going to take your secures because you don't want to play. If you have your team that's set up synergistically to provide a bunch of support, Crimson Dynamo, you just like fighting on E's, right? You want I-Hulk to sit in the middle all day with Midnight Suns. Whatever the case is, if you want the E's, you're going to pick your secures first. If you pull Gamma, your opponent will probably be able to go last and double move and throw you off the middle Gamma. You're giving your opponent that play for free.
But Aaron, if my play is to reduce scoring as much as possible, isn't putting my opponent in a situation where they can only score 2 or 3 points good?
So if you're choosing your secures into Webs have probably 5 white extracts. And if you're playing someone else who also has low scoring, that means we're both going to fight. In which case, it doesn't matter.
Well, but there's the secondary effect of Gamma as well, where if they're spreading out to try and collect those, it's easier for me to clean them up in the following turn.
I don't consider 1 point of damage to be worthwhile.
But 1 point can matter a lot. Like, the difference between one rounding someone with 4 hit points and 5 hit points can be very different.
It can, but that's all very game by game.
Sure, but I mean, like, statistically speaking, it does increase my odds of killing them.
You are
especially if that 5 is cubes, and all of a sudden now they only have 3 hit points.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that combined is easily worth it for me. I think Gamma is actually very good against Webs because it prevents them from doing the infinite runaway plan.
It's worse into someone else who's running tall-ish. Like, let's say that Webs on Gamma end up going 4 wide with Hulk. Into your 4 wide at 15, I think you've just given them an advantage.
Okay. I can see that. In my opinion, if I'm forcing my opponent to play Hulk with Webs at 4 wide, then I'm fine with that. I'd rather play that game than the normal Webs game all day long.
Sure.
Definitely a personal choice. Anybody else have anything else for E's? Okay. We'll move on to F as in Foxtrot. Also stands for 5. Let's see. It's just the 3 missions, right? We've got Cubes, Spider Infected, and Scoundrels.
I believe so.
Yep, so we have the 2, pretty much the widest missions here. There's one exception, kind of. But interesting note is the 4 corner extracts or objectives on this mission are actually more tightly packed than the B's are, as in Bravo. They're actually a little bit further into the table. So it's actually pretty cluttered.
So I'm going to go back on my controversial take and say that you shouldn't be running spiders or cubes, regardless of your team. Unless you're playing ASM. No, even then it's wrong.
No, yeah, it's Angela, I think is what you're thinking. That's only on cubes.
I mean, ASM can still take the middle. Bottom line, you're playing odd extracts. And I think odd extracts are probably always the wrong call. And I'll sing a different tune in like next month. But for now, I'm still on the odd extracts are bad. kick, and I've been
Well,
there
but
for
you're
about
saying
a
that
while.
specifically because you think the correct move is to take your secures if you win prio.
Yes, for
And
the
you
most
think-
part. If you're
because that-
taking secures, you should not. If your plan is to take secures, you should not have out extracts. If
And-
you are playing webs, you're like, I don't care what my opponent's secures are. I always want to play my 5-wide. Then great. However, I'm still not even sure that's great because if your opponent gets their blues and they pick your reds, they're still going to take the middle one before you can do it anyway. And if you're playing webs, you're not going to be able to punish them for it. So anytime you lose prio, I think you're handing a little advantage ticket to your opponent when you're playing 5-wide. Sorry, 5-wide extracts.
And I think we touched on this last week, but just to clarify, it's because if your opponent wants to choose blues and then you give them an odd numbered extract on top, you're advantaging them even further for going first because they end up with a bigger number of extracts.
Correct. There are some caveats. Like go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think that totally makes sense. And there's obviously exceptions to it. That's just the standard. I think it's more about what you plan on choosing. I think the concept of always choose your secures is, I think it's less prevalent than a lot of people think, except at like the very like niche meta groups. If you're completely meta chasing, then I think it's very true. But if you're just playing whatever you want to play, I don't think it matters nearly as much.
But again, you're still giving your opponent the advantage when they win prio. Even if you would choose your extracts when you get prio.
I just think that theory is based on a much more tight-knit meta circle, where it's like these 4 factions versus each other, that's exactly what happens. I think that's true. But if you're like, I show up playing like something totally off the wall weird like Sentinels, like who knows what's going to happen at that point. Because then now the number of extracts on the table might not matter as much. And so it just depends. But yeah.
There is some jank if you want to. A medium-based medium mover can double move and pick up an opponent's spider infected or cube.
Yep. They're the same vertical distance apart as the Bravos.
Yep.
And so that's still true. You obviously still need landing space.
Yep. But one thing you can do to counteract some of the higher tempo teams is to have a lizard or a bill, someone who can double move and grab their far one.
Yep. I think that's the most important thing. Having somebody in your list that can get to these faraway points really breaks up the scripted lists that plan to come get basically the middle and one of yours early to where they kind of lock you out of getting any. Because there used to be an X-Men list that would usually get 4 of the 5.
Yep. X-Men get 4. Wakanda still can. Just think of someone else. Maybe just X-Men and Wakanda. Oh, yeah, Inhumans can do the same thing.
Inhumans. With the same fucking model.
Yeah.
That's my
What's
fault.
the model?
I apologize.
Tell me.
It's Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. Okay.
It's Quicksilver. That's 100%
Yeah.
my fault. I apologize to the community for
Okay,
that.
You
explain.
did, Brandon. So Quicksilver sets up centrally in either Wakanda or
Inhumans.
Inhumans. And then
You give him 2 extra power. He speedster, moves, picks up, moves long away.
So with prio, someone else
Yes.
picks up an extract. Quicksilver gets power.
Hmm.
Turn 2, so I pick up the middle extract turn 1. First activation. My opponent picks up one of their back ones. Second activation, Quicksilver picks up whichever back one they didn't grab.
He gets 3 long moves and it interacts.
Right.
So he takes either of their back ones he wants and moves away with Wall Crawler. And so he's well far on your side of the table when they get to go again.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you are taking one of mine, I guarantee to go up 4-1. It is game breaking off the rip.
Yeah.
Which is why the counter to that is to have someone who can take one of mine. Now the problem is in Wakanda, I'm doing the same thing, but instead of having, nobody to punish you, I've got a Black Panther and a Killmonger who have a charge and a pounce online. Like, you can double move with Lizard and I might just kill you.
Yeah. Especially
So-
once you get Namor and he ignores DR.
Ooh, yeah.
And he gets to, super jump.
I was
But-
going to say, you could get, Inhumans has also people who could just, if Black Bolt shoots you twice, you might just fall
No,
down.
exactly. No, it's
Yeah.
actually super frustrating.
Yeah.
That's what a bunch of people took to show me because Aaron was running it around for a while before that.
So yeah, Fs can be degenerately played.
I was about to say, if you're thinking, I'll just take an F extracts, cause sure, no, don't do
No,
that.
do not.
Only do
Yeah,
it because you have a very specific plan you're trying to execute. If you have one of these we've talked about, go for it. However, I will say I don't think that's the case specifically for Scoundrels, which is the F secure, the blue.
Sure.
Because I think there is actually, it is not totally unfair to play it as an attrition list or a extra, a scenario themed list. I think both of them have reasons to do it, which I think is kind of cool. I think Scoundrels is one of the most interesting ones. The only team that really abuses Scoundrels is Criminals with Kingpin leadership. They really abuse it badly. So if you see your opponent, doing that, then you might be walking into something if you decide to take it with your attrition list. But you can play things like X-Force, for example. X-Force is an attrition list that really enjoys playing on that scenario because they have so many guys that will be able to attack multiple points and make it really difficult. You can kind of refuse flank by having three of the points and be threatening them so consistently that your opponent doesn't have the ability to come over to your side of the table. And then every once in a while, if you keep them from scoring a fourth secure, then you can go up and win on points, even as an attrition team. So there are things you can do with Scoundrels.
I disagree strongly with Scoundrels. I think there's way more teams that horribly abuse it, but it's mostly just because anyone who has more board control than you has a huge advantage of, by throwing you off of a point, I now force you to take a move action for you to even be able to target me with any real effectiveness. So teams like Webs, who have a lot of mobility and a lot of movement on the opposing side, can really disrupt the way the game's supposed to work. I think Thanos also can do that. He can kind of turtle down on his corner and still affect a lot of the table.
I think if you have a bunch of range 2 attackers, right? If that's a range 3 attackers, then I think you're gonna feel that because you're gonna spend too many actions coming back to the points, and they're gonna be scoring secures. But I think there are lists that have a bunch of range 4s and range 5s, and I don't think anybody can move on to the center point, for example, and not get attacked too much unless they have a very specific game plan to remove it. Now, that being said, I don't think your average attrition list is advantaged on Scoundrels. I'm just saying there are attrition plays on Scoundrels.
Yeah, I think at its face it appears to be that way, but I think anytime you get into like meta play, it ends up being the opposite, because like Kingpin is going to be there, Webs are going to be there. I think X-Force is the strongest argument for like the I just want to play attrition, but their natural play style is to kind of play tempo based, and I think that kind of robs them of tempo because it forces them to spread out more than they want. And the amount of time you're going to get to use the leadership to ignore cover is actually not as much as you think, because if you are standing on the secures, you're not then also within 3 of people on a different secure, and so you're not actually getting to use the leadership to ignore cover unless you're not standing on the objectives, in which case, like, what are you doing? How are you going to not lose the game if your opponent's scoring 4 or 5 points a turn just on the secure? And so I don't know, it's interesting, but for me the Fs all fall into the abused territory, which is if you're not trying to abuse them, you should stay away, because if you do play the abusers, you're just going to lose.
I don't think as an X-Force player I will ever take that as my 3. But I guess what I'm saying is
it's just nice to have the tool when it happens.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
like, if you're like, I got forced into this scenario, well, I'm not completely screwed. Like, I have something to do, or I have tools in my affiliation that can deal with this. And there are some affiliations that will not feel that way, and Fs just are hard to deal with because you can't affect enough different points while you're standing on one. So, but there are some affiliations that are attrition that can make use of that because specifically of how they're designed.
Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on Fs?
They're very fast. Those can just get way out of hand. That's why I don't like them. For the same reason Aaron's talking about odd numbers, I throw in as well that things can go sideways on you real quick. A couple models get dazed you weren't ready for. Suddenly you're down 5 points. You're like, holy shit. They're just way too fast. I don't like them for those reasons.
Could I make a quick observation? There was a time in the meta, and maybe that time is gone. You guys can tell me. I don't know if it's still here. That a lot of people were playing Scoundrels. Like, it was showing up everywhere. Just kind of it was almost a generic play. What do you think the reason for that was? And do you think that time is gone, or is that still around? Are people just still playing Scoundrels?
That's when Avengers and Kingpin and Webs were all like mandatory meta staples. And now that Avengers has fallen off a little bit, nobody quite, because they had a really good list for like holding the secures and pushing people off. Like everyone had board control and was hard to kill.
Mhm.
And then if you did kill one of them, you were punished by Sam's leadership. And that list just has kind of fallen away. And so I think there's less people doing it. But also, I think at this point, the scenario lists are almost viewed as like the terrorists and everybody's trying to stay away from them. Like it's like they know that if you play these high scoring missions and get paired against like what people consider to be the boogeyman, it's going to be a bad time. Anything else for the Fs? Nope. All right. Moving on to G as in golf.
Only one
There
sword
is
base?
only the one. There's the sword base. There's some confusing wording on this card. Basically, the person who scores the most gets to push somebody.
You like winning,
Important to
Brandon? Would you like to win more, harder, and faster?
Yeah. I also like winning more. I feel like the missions should just determine who wins all of the time.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing in the game. Anyway, there's a lot of fun things about this mission, though. It is very close together, so it's going to basically turn into a mosh pit most of the time. It's the only pay to flip where you automatically succeed if it's uncontested. So it's an interesting one. I think everyone should get some reps with this because it's so different than the other missions. And I think it, barring the winner gets to win more aspect of the push, I actually really like this mission. I wish it was just the other player gets to push somebody. And I think I would love this. I would play this mission probably every time I built a list if it would just move who gets to push them off.
Realizing that you say that because you're going to build an attrition list, right?
No, not necessarily. I just don't like the aspect of the game can get away from you, and then it just lose more is what it feels like.
Oh, I agree. I'm 100% with you on the change. I'm just saying, even with that change, I would not take it in every list I built. But I do really like the mission.
I think I would play it because I think it was a well-balanced mission at that point.
Okay. Any specific comments for what squad/roster considerations you would have for a G deployment?
Red Skull 2.
I was about to say Red Skull 2.
Red Skull 2.
Well, that's specific to the mission, right? Do we want to keep it, since there is only one mission for a
There's
G?
only one mission, yeah. Okay. I mean, it's hard to remove that information from your head when it's like, well, let's talk about missions where the extract cannot be picked up and not talk about researcher at the same time. I just wanted to clarify what we're... I would love for there to be more G deployments. That would be amazing. I think this is a really interesting deployment map. Partially because it's so close together, and also it's so unique.
Can medium base range 3s contest like across? Is it that close? I have never done the math.
What do you mean medium base range 3s?
No, you're saying medium move. Yes.
No, medium based. Like a range 3 attack, like
move.
Carnage.
Can you
Carnage
attack
from a different
He
G,
can,
right?
but it depends on where they're standing. If they're if they're standing as far away from you as possible, I don't think so.
Okay. I was just curious because G is decidedly different than B, right?
B
you have to be range 5, but there are some characters at range 3 that can do it, which is kind of
the funny thing with the grunts is if you put Red Skull in the right spot, you can spawn the grunts. They can try 2 of the points, and then Red Skull can move twice and try 3 of the points, and so you can get 5 interactions off of 1 activation if he goes last. And that's if the grunts are respawning. So if they're still... I don't think they can actually get to the third one anyway, but that's just interesting that you can always get 5 if you know exactly where to put them.
Yeah, I was going to say...
like Rhino and Juggernaut, any people that can move. Mm-hmm. Going last is huge, because even if you only get a 50-50 chance on flipping them because your opponent is contesting them, like if you can do it 3 times, like you're quote-unquote guaranteed to get 1, coin flip to get 2 of them, and just win, and then
would be the term.
Sure,
I can attest that guaranteeing your odds of pay to flips is never a thing. But like you're saying, that's exactly why I hate the fact that it's win more, is because it's one person's going to be advantaged generally due to RNG, and then you're going to get punished for being the person who is punished by RNG. Logan's an interesting character in this mission because he gets to place everywhere, but also he doesn't want to be near friends. I think he's probably still amazing because Logan's just busted. So
he's only busted with rerolls. I would not take Logan on sword base.
I think getting to place effectively wherever he wants after every attack, he will make it to where if you plan ahead, it will be easy to keep him out of that 3.
Okay.
I was going to say charge characters and hit and run characters all get a lot out of this.
Yeah. Anyone with a little bit of mobility, it goes a long way on this mission.
Right. Yep. being able to start somewhere and end somewhere, and you're always conserving your action economy is great. Hulkbuster feels awesome in something like this. He just feels super cool. Also, oh shoot, I had it in my head. A Ghost Rider actually feels pretty cool because he can cover most of your team with his defensive effects and also move around a lot. Like he has and be doing lots of damage. Like Ghost Rider feels pretty cool in this one.
People that move us like automatically on their attacks, like Red Guardian and Shuri, are always good on secure missions, but I feel it's extra good here because everyone's so packed together. You can just kind of target all of those attacks to one secure and then flip it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this mission isn't overly complicated. I think it's just interesting. There's a lot of like interesting play patterns and thought processes that happen while you're playing it because it generally packs in the models a lot closer than they normally are.
I will say, after having played this, because I purposely put it in my bunch just because I wanted to get reps with it for a while, if you accidentally put down a lot of characters without movement economy, you feel like you're really behind the 8-ball. It's really it's really spectacular, actually, how quickly you want to be able to be like, oh man, I really wish this guy was Sam right now, or I really wish this character was Lockjaw right now. Like there are a bunch of characters in the game that can just do lots of things while they're also moving onto the points. And as soon as you don't have that, man, it feels bad.
Speaking of Sam would be interesting on this mission. I don't think I've ever seen Sam play this mission. Because if they daze one of your models, you could take the short move to then contest the secure. Mm-hmm. If you position your models right.
Yep. Also, Sam can bop and charge and...
Yeah, and Sam's personally amazing on this mission. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else on the G's?
If you want to have a fun time, I think play this one and understand that every once in a while you'll lose like 16-4. And that'll just happen to you.
Well, it's not all or nothing, so it used to be all or nothing. Now you actually score normally. But yeah, it can get out of hand because of the pay-to-flips and all that.
I feel like this one is kind of like Fisk, right? It's kind of like I don't even remember what letter Fisk is on.
Whoa. How dare you?
The reason why I think it's similar... I think it's similar because it's one of those high skill cap missions, and a lot of people, you don't see it very often, and having reps on it could reward you playing it automatically, just because you'll know what to bring, you'll know what to do, and your opponent might not.
I don't think I agree with that. This one, I don't think it's nearly the skill cap that Mayor Fisk is, but probably more so than your average pay to flip. Anyway, speaking of, let's move on to Atch. Atch is in Harry.
Atch.
We've got the Mayor Fisk vows to find missing witnesses, I think is what it's called. Mm-hmm. The H. I don't think I've ever come up with a cool nickname for this one. Helix? I don't know. I'll think of something later. Anyway, the only mission for this one is Mayor Fisk. I absolutely love this mission for what Parker just said, which is why I kept yelling at him for spoilers, because this is about what we were about to talk about. This mission is, I think, the highest skill cap mission in the game. You can play this 100 times, and it will play it differently all 100 times. This mission is great. It rewards your opponent when you score points against them, and allows them to punish you for scoring points. But it also, because of that, you can leverage that ability in different ways. Like you can pull the objectives away from them to make it harder for them to score. You can move it next to more of their models to damage them. You can deny your opponent from scoring points because you can move the points together and defend a smaller space. You can spread the points out to make it harder for your opponent to stop you. There's so many things you can do with this mission with some interesting lines of play. I love it.
It's hard to talk about this one because there's only one mission, and specifically the points move. And like you just said, it changes the way it's played so much, right? Mm-hmm. You could try to move them apart to create funny situations, or try to move them together to create situations. Your opponent could be doing something, of course, against you. I wish I could say like, oh, this is, they're this distance apart, and you want this kind of range for your characters, or this kind of movement economy. But it's really hard to say because this specific deployment only has one mission, and the points move, in my experience, so wildly. Mm-hmm.
It's and again, kind of hard just like your opponent not having played it a lot will lead to them making odd decisions sometimes that actually affect you in like the ways they wanted. And it's not just you're rewarded for reps, because you are, but it's also just like creative thinking in general. Because if they don't have a bias because they haven't ever played it before, they're going to do whatever they think makes sense in the moment, which usually is going to have a strong core of understanding behind it, even if it's not optimal necessarily. And so like stuff like that, I always love seeing that. And not to mention the repercussions of decisions in this, because my opponent decided to move them towards me once. Well, now the entire game is different, and we're playing in a whole new world, basically, because of the infinitely changing situations.
I will say one of my favorite moves for this one is if sometimes when I have the opportunity to score a point, I won't. I will just specifically tie my opponent because I don't want to score that one, and then I will let them have only one because I don't want them to score 4 because then it gets out of control.
Yeah, 4 is a lot.
But letting them score 2 is okay when I didn't get to do stun to a key models. Like I have specifically given my opponent's Magneto, for example, a point and then stunned him. And he was like, oh, shit. And I just wailed on Magneto, and all of his stuff started to become much harder to do because he didn't want to give up actions to remove stun. So there are things you can do with this specifically to slow the game down or speed the game up, or if you see models that are susceptible to stun, you can completely lock whole sections of the game out from your opponent if you're wise with your usage of this. It's one of the only ones in the game that I've ever specifically not tried to score. I've only tried to tie or given to my opponent. It's really wild.
That's one of my favorite interactions with this is I've gotten in staring matches with people trying to figure out if they're going to score the points or not, because we'll like have mildly committed early in the turn. Like we each have like one person on both of them, and then we're staring there. We both have like 2 activations left. We're like, do I actually want to score this? Do I want to let him score it so I can move them? Because I really want to move them. And they're like, but also I want to score points. You just have this weird, like, convoluted, or I guess, and then we just, like, nobody stands on them at all. Oh, God. It's like, I've had my opponent, I think it was even Jeremy, actually, moved off of the point to let me score it. Because we were contested. He's like, fuck this. He just walks away. It's like, whoa, shit. It was fun. Jeremy, do you like this mission?
I think it's really fun. I have no idea what I'm doing with it. It's fucking bananas. Yeah.
It is bananas.
It's fun, but it's crazy.
Aaron, one of my favorite games I played on this mission was against your son. We played Researcher Mayor Fisk.
Jesus
which
Christ.
Is, if you've never done it, everyone should. That's like everyone should go skydiving. It's very exciting. Yeah, and I was playing Thanos, so... It was a fucking crazy game. We eventually just assembled Voltron, and all 3 tokens were stacked. It's like, oh god. Who would like to score 6 points?
You made Mega Desk.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Alright, that's the last...
I have one question for Aaron, actually, specifically. Aaron, you've warned us all about, how you could be trapped by a certain scenario, and so don't do it. Is there a trap in this one? Is there something that you've seen in the game that your opponent goes, I played Sentinel Prime and therefore auto won on... I'm just throwing something out.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say anything because I agree with everything you guys were talking about. Brandon's high skill cap. Yes, you need to get games. You need to get practice with the Fisk. Sometimes I just give the points to my opponent turn 1. Like, I'll choose where to put them. You can get stunned, get no power, get wrecked. Like, this game has a rubber band mechanic. Well, what if you don't get that part, right? Like, I'll just daze you top of 2 after I stun you. Oh, congratulations, you went up 4-1. It's not going to matter in the long run. Or you could try that and end up giving your opponent the game because they, they can clear the stun. You don't kill them, and now they have all the points. You're like, well, that backfired. So there is no one-size-fits-all strategy for how to deal with Fisk.
Exactly.
It is very fluid every game, and so you actually need reps with it, which I admittedly do not have recently.
It is not only that you need to know, like, oh, well, I'm playing, X-Men versus Webs. What do I do? It's far deeper than that. It's every game is different. It's like, based on how your opponent commits to them will change your decision-making process. But you do want to generally have an idea going in. My general go-to versus scenario teams is I'll let them score both of them on turn 1. I'll drag them both max distance towards my team and try and put them a little bit closer together. And then the next turn, I will just roll my whole team on top of them. I'm like, if you want these 4 points, you're going to have to literally table me for them. And then it's like, okay, so you went up, 3-1 on extracts, but I have 4-0 on secures for the rest of the game. And it's very hard for them to commit into coming into you like that. And so even if I end up losing the fight and they do get it accomplished, it forces a game that I want to play, which is we're going to now fight on the hill and you have to interact with me. And if that doesn't work, you are, like Aaron said, sometimes you give them the game because you let them score 4 early. But, you get to dictate the game to your opponent, which is nice. Okay, I think we're going to call it there on the deployments. We'll save the last 2 for next week. Do you guys have anything you wanted to cover before we wrap up today?
I am quite enjoying the league. I'll just say that.
The Steroid League?
Mm-hmm.
Barry Bonds is killing it. What is your favorite thing to happen so far? Was it roided up ASM?
Oh, Jesus Christ. It was my favorite thing ever, yeah. Fighting roided up, what was his name?
Let's give some quick rundown. Aaron, do you want to run through the league, or would you like me to explain it?
Oh, I'll do it, because you'll fuck it up.
Oh.
Okay, so this is a 1-month league that we're running locally in Kansas City, purely for funsies. But the concept is you're going to have constant roster churn. So you have to pick an affiliation, and you must play that affiliation. Show up to week 1 with your 10 rostered people. One of them, after you're deployed, gets a serum. They get a bunch of benefits for having the serum. In week 1, it was an additional power in the power phase, healing factor 1, and they gained Arch Nemesis all enemy models.
Yeah,
you can look up what that does.
Was, that was maybe a bridge too far. Like they built a bridge to the moon.
Now both teams got it.
God.
So my Arch Nemesis, or my serumed King T'Challa against your serumed, ASM. Let's go. So lots of dice were rolled. Now, as a result of taking the serum, whoever had it perishes. Turns out it was harmful. Side effects may be possible.
Yeah.
So for your next game, you have to replace them in your roster with anyone else. So for your first game, you probably shouldn't give the serum to your leader. Like that would be bad. So really, it's just about running some splash characters through so you can keep your core intact for the league. And then choosing when to use it. Like one person is they're playing criminals. And so each week, their last game of the week, they're going to use it on their leader. And so then the next week, they'll pick a new leader to serum.
Boy, Claw with Arch Nemesis would have been sweet.
So we toned down what the serum does in week 2, and then we added a reserves clause to where you bring in a model of your one of your squad members deploys on turn 3 within range 2 of any board edge.
Yeah, they get behind.
We haven't played those games yet, but week 1 was just the serum rule. Okay, Jeremy, how did your ASM go with a serum?
Everyone died. Killed everybody.
He was
merciless,
he was like deaf guy.
a merciless cocaine bear took out the entire board by himself. It's fucking unbelievable.
Cocaine bear is the best bear.
So the thing I enjoy about this league is it's a really fun distraction from the other things of the game that aren't so fun, in my opinion, right now. So Cocaine Bear running about the board doing Cocaine Bear things is just too much goddamn fun. It's like the best part of the game.
You need to repaint your bear to be Cocaine Bear, and he's just got white shit all over his face. He's like, just red eyes. Like,
Urza Major's next week, so we're doing it. Cocaine Bear.
What affiliation did you choose for your league?
Inhumans.
Ah, that's right.
I have Inhumans, yeah.
He can hand him all the cocaine.
I have cocaine guys filled with power, raging about. I'm going to Cocaine Bear Crystal soon, and it's going to be the end of time. 3 fucking attacks, all rerolls.
That's what he's trying to say. Is he's trying to take away your cocaine?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear him say that?
No.
I'm also against it. I think at this point everyone loves it. You should keep it.
Dude,
so the change for week 2, you lose healing factor and you lose the ability to reroll skulls.
No,
everything else stays.
No, we're all in at this point.
It's already
you can't take it away. Remember when Diablo 4 nerfed all your characters and it wasn't fun? Everybody quit the game. That's what you're doing. Don't be Blizzard.
Don't be Blizzard.
I'm sure it's still over the top.
No, it's fine. I was never more enticed to play than when Cocaine Bear was ripping people in half.
Dude,
I was like,
Amazing
dude,
Spider-Man.
this game looks sick.
Amazing Spider-Man causing rerolls all over the table.
ASM
So much power.
is scoring
Jesus
his
H.
opponent's gamma point while killing 2 people every round.
Oh, yeah.
This looks awesome.
How did your opponent's Cocaine Bear handle the situation? I mean, was there
that-
fun had on both sides, or was it just you?
I was getting re-rolled croissants thrown at me, all canned from fucking Moon Knight. I'm like, well, get this bitch off of me, dude. It was.
I
it
legitimately
was
didn't see anyone have a bad time.
No, it was.
I think
fun.
everybody loved it.
Like I say, it's a nice refresher of the fun shit that the game can be about. I really enjoyed that part of it. Superheroes doing superhero shit, man. That's all it really was. And then CJ put it on Punisher, who was fucking ripping people's heads off with fucking rifles.
It takes me back to the Doom Prophecy days.
Oh, yeah. Someone put it on Hulk. Like, it was all kinds of craziness.
I brought Angela to put it on. I didn't get to play a game, but I'm still going to try. It sounds like
Strap it in. Strap her in. She's ready.
I love my girl. I'm ready to go slice and dice.
It's fun, though. Good job. It's fun.
Thanks, we try.
Who came up with the, was that Casson?
Casson and I collaborated on the rules. The stimulus to have the league is all Casson.
But who came up with the Nemesis thing?
Pretty sure that was me. The trader.
Casson, he's stealing your idea. I heard it live on air.
So Casson's original idea was to have a trader. So you'd pick one person on your opponent's team and they would come work for you for the next game.
Ooh.
And I think that's amazing, except you'd have to like borrow models. You'd have to own the full range and it just became unpractical or just proxy stuff. So the trader mechanic changed into a, give your guy a buff mechanic and then they have to rotate out.
Yeah,
yes,
I like
this league
that.
would not be happening without Casson.
Forcing your guy to die after he does all kinds of crazy shit is really good. That way, everybody gets to do different shit all the time. That's cool. Nothing is precious. Everything dies. Go.
Yep. You can do it once.
Yup. If I could kill Black Bolt every game because he's stupid as fuck, I would. And you die again.
I really want to see how the reserves rule for this week plays out. I'm super excited about that.
I'm not excited at all about that.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
I suggested something I really thought you guys should do is every week you ban a model of your opponent's roster and you can play that model.
Because telling your opponents what they can't play is always fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's
so we're purposely not telling people what we're doing for weeks 3 and 4, not because we haven't decided yet, but because we don't want people to metagame.
And because you haven't decided yet.
Totally not because of that.
But you haven't.
Actually, I have.
Okay. So what has Casson decided, though? The guy that's in charge of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask the commissioner tomorrow.
Sure.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed us talking about shapes and letters.
Shapes.
We like both of those things most of the time. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Cent Prime Rocks.
And you've just listened to Cocaine Bear.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We are back. We did it.
It's not just us that's back. It's our baseball mascot, Jeremy, who's back.
That's true.
So I don't think youth sports should be legal in the United States.
Is this a Frank's Little Darlings flashback happening right here?
I think the competitive... I mean, it's honestly the most... It's really disturbing how fucked up it is.
It's like cruel. Yeah.
Well, no, it's cruel in the sense of like how much parents are invested in and how much the kids are not sometimes, and then the coach is in the middle, and like a bad coach can run the team, and like there's all kinds of fucked up things. Every year I run into new things that make me hate human beings more.
Yeah. It's almost like there's many after-school specials about this exact situation.
I don't know. All I know is it doesn't work to teach by the style of, I'm going to hit the ball into the field, everyone scrambles around like idiots, and then you go, okay, that was entirely wrong. Try again. They didn't seem to learn. They just kept fucking up. I don't know why.
You mean when you give them zero instruction, just tell them that they're wrong?
Yeah. Yep, they actually
I
yelled
don't
like,
see why that wouldn't work.
my kids never got to slide in their league they were in because they couldn't steal. That was the league we were in. They were young, like they didn't steal. It just was one element that wasn't in the league they were playing in. So Gabe, of course, takes a base, runs around, goes to second base, doesn't slide, gets tagged out. And the coaches are like, the other guys on the team, the other coaches, he didn't slide. Why did he slide? I turned around, looked him right in the face, and I go, when did we teach sliding this year? Dude, it made me so fucking mad. Like, nonsense. Yeah, the emotional roller coaster I go through for the 3 months of baseball is epic.
Nice.
So you're an assistant coach with them? Is that the idea?
So
He's assistant to the assistant coach.
Assistant to
yeah.
the coach?
So I got on this team. I signed up. I'm like, cool, I want to be an assistant coach, help out, whatever. I've never done this level of baseball before. I've done the other levels, coach my team, whatever. So this one, I was like, I will help, whatever. So I get there. There's like 5 dads that are already coaching / assistant coaching, but none of them are on the roster as doing so. They just all do it, which means basically just my team, my kid gets to play because I've been on this team for years. And I'm there like, what do you guys need from me? And they're basically like, nothing, we've got this. And then they just shit show all over the field. Like, we've lost by 15, we lost by like 20, we've lost by all kinds of things. I can take it if it's my team. Like, I'll take responsibility for my disasters. I will. But I will fix it. Like, okay, we will practice more. We'll focus on X, Y, and Z. No. The kids just shit the bed. The coaches are like, we'll just move you around. We're going to run laps if you guys can't pay attention. I'm like, what the fuck is this mess? Dude, I am... Well, I had 2 of the ladies, the moms, approach me and ask me if I would coach the team next year, a different team, and their kids wanted to switch teams. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, what?
Wow.
Like, yeah.
Well,
like, I don't know.
Well, the answer is like everybody can tell, right? Like
Yeah.
who is actually teaching and who is coaching and who is not. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, you should be flattered, but
Yeah. Now that I've seen the caliber of people and what's kind of going on, I'm much more comfortable stepping into that seat because I just didn't want to mess up these kids' lives. Like, I don't know baseball like baseball, baseball. Like, baseball is a very mind game, and I don't know the ins and outs of everything. But
it turns out
they don't know shit
either. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they know a lot about baseball. They just don't know a lot about teaching.
right.
And that's the thing. They're like, oh, well, obviously, because these 2 guys are here, they're going to back up this guy. You should have went this way. I'm like, these kids are 12. Fortnite is most important. Do you understand that?
Mhm.
Fortnite. So,
Probably the worst realization as an adult is realizing that everyone around you has no idea what they're doing. It's terrifying, actually. You're like, how? Like, society is hanging by a thread, and I just never knew it as a child.
just the amount of damage being done to, number one, the coach's kids who think they're superheroes because they're always the one who's pitching. They're always the one on first base. They're always, quote unquote, the best kids. They're not even any good. So they're going to leave this team, do whatever in life, and their bubble's going to pop and the world's going to shit on them. Like, their egos are held up the most, like, so flimsy. It's, oh my God. Anywho, yeah, I do that like 3 or 4 times a week now, so.
Don't worry, Jeremy. There's worse things out there.
I get to spend time
Like
with my
this
own
joke.
kids. Huh?
Like this joke.
Oh, don't. I spend time with my kids, so
Remember-
actually it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, you need to remember, never glue a piranha to a boomerang, because it'll come back and bite you.
That's kind of cute.
You like that one? That
I
one was
kind of like that
awful.
one. No, because it's so obscure. I like it.
It's so stupid.
Well, absolutely.
I'm
it's
saving the
stupid as
good one for later.
hell.
I got a good one coming later.
Cliff notes about last week's episode.
You loved it?
My favorite part in every episode is when Parker talks down to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes everyone is wrong.
The important thing is, before they've said anything, you need to explain to them why they're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's happening again. It's happening again.
I feel like
man.
you talk down to the listeners more than you talk down to us, though.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For sure. And we obviously know you're not doing it on purpose. You're trying to teach, but on a podcast,
she's just used to teaching very young people.
Yeah.
And so he
On a
talks to
podcast,
the
teaching is
audience
just
like
talking
they're
down to
8-year-olds.
Okay.
I
Our
love
customers have grown to need it, honestly.
Okay.
They need to be spoon-fed.
I really need you guys to make me look like a decent human being, because if it was just me, they would realize that I'm a monster. And so you guys are really helping me look close to normal.
Man, we're about halfway through The Walking Dead. Shit's going down, by the
God
way.
damn, you guys are churning through that.
My boys are like...
That's not a short show
monsters.
either.
No. It's an hour, 45 minutes per episode, 45 minutes to an hour. It's like 16
Yeah, but it's like-
episodes per season.
Yeah, it's like almost 20 episode seasons. It's like 12 seasons, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 12 seasons. So we're
Yeah.
on season 5, I think. We're halfway through season 5.
I just finished watching Evil.
Oh, is that
Really?
one good?
I'm gonna give it a B+. It's worth watching.
That's the guy who plays Luke Cage in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hold on. Before we know what a B+ is, what's an A+ show?
Persons of Interest.
Breaking Bad.
Okay.
And Persons of Interest.
So
I will admit, Person of Interest is your mileage may vary, but it's an
Okay.
A for me.
Person of Interest is an A?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you're-
Bones, Castle, those are all A's for me. Blacklist is
Okay.
like an A-.
He
Those are all
absolutely
entertaining.
loves
Okay.
procedural dramas.
That's
so-
fine.
So this
I
is
mean,
it's a
yeah.
interesting take on the kind of procedural drama.
Mhm.
It's like so far out there. It's like Lucifer. I don't know if you watched that or not.
I know
like
the
Lucifer.
concept.
But so Lucifer is definitely worth watching, but it's not quite as campy. But it's definitely aware of the genre it's dealing with, which is the
How have
religious
you-
/ supernatural, not in a super serious sense.
Have you watched Supernatural?
I have not.
How have you not? This is
It's
like
terrible.
like every show you name is like you would love Supernatural.
It's so bad.
It's very bad, but you would love it.
Oh man, one of my my coworkers, my cook, the one that I talk shows with, he was like, "Yep, I'm getting ready to watch Supernatural again," and I almost threw up in my mouth. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding?
It's good.
Again?"
See, the thing about Supernatural, I think I've said this before. If you can get past the regurgitated Monster of the Week / investigation process that is awful, it's only in there because it's easy to fill time with. It's why all these crime dramas exist. It's easy to write a plot for a crime drama or like a monster drama. But if the actual storyline of the show and the interaction between the characters, there's like 5 minutes per episode, which is dedicated to that, is actually a really good, interesting story. And the acting is actually pretty good. But you have to deal with all the filler that is the CW style Monster of the Week crap. And that all
I
sucks.
hate CW shows so much.
Yeah,
I
no, I
can't.
get it.
You need to watch iZombie and then tell me that after you've watched season 1.
Really?
I
iZombie?
have.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
no, it's terrible.
Jeremy, I'm talking to Jeremy. I want you to watch one season of iZombie
Okay,
and then
I'll
tell
watch
me
it.
all CW shows suck.
Yes.
Okay.
It's exactly the same. Why are you doing this to him? It's not any different.
Okay, let me guess.
It
If
is-
it's a CW show, it's I'm rich and also sad, and I'm going to go do things, and I'm also depressed.
No, it's the other one where they're keeping secrets from their friends and they don't want to tell
Oh.
anybody, but they have to tell somebody eventually, and then the person's hurt that they kept the secret. Then they promise to never keep secrets again, and then immediately find another secret. And don't
Buffy
tell
the Zombie
person.
Slayer. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
That's not just CW, but sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's just cheap writing. It's just the formula that they follow, right? It's like AI wrote us a TV show again, but thanks. but
sure.
and it's fine. It just bothers some people more than it bothers other people. It's like laugh track. It's like if it doesn't bother you, then it doesn't bother you.
So I had to pick a new show to watch. So I haven't watched the last 3 seasons of Blacklist. I'm gonna see if I can knock those out.
I like Blacklist a lot.
Blacklist reminds me of like watching a single episode of something you love over and over and over again. Like every episode to me just kind of blurs into the next one. I love the show, but I can't seem to like gobble up a bunch of episodes in a row. It's just too like I'm like
Very repetitive.
Yeah, it's very repetitive like that. It's interesting. I mean, they're different bad guys, but they're still like A plus B equals C. Like
the early seasons are very formulaic. Then they get into more serial stuff later.
I mean, obviously
Yeah,
the main guy has like a background, and I'm sure that's interesting. But
yeah, and I binged the first 7 seasons.
Nice.
And then I hadn't watched it in like 3 years, and so I'm like, fuck, because it gets a little convoluted at times, like relationships, and I'm like, I'm sure I'll figure it out after like 2 or 3 episodes, but
there's one season where they kind of clean a lot of that up,
okay,
and then it gets convoluted again.
Well, yeah, I think I just watched the season without giving any spoilers, where stuff
there's
got
a pretty
cleaned
big
up,
spoiler,
but it's gonna get uncleaned up, just like you said. It's got it anyway. It's all about that show is all about keeping secrets from the viewers.
It's like How I Met Your Mother. It's like there's the infinite secret that you're trying to figure out the entire show, and then they kind of tell you but don't several times.
It seems very like J.K. Rowling to me. And by that I mean like she wrote like I did not like the first couple books, probably all of them, but like there was no foreshadowing, and you could go back and tell who the bad guy was going to be.
No,
it was just
can't. Yeah.
It was just
she was actively a bad writer at the time. Like
sure, I'm just saying it was a plot, and all of a sudden a plot twist. You're like, oh, like a good writer will put in Easter eggs and like I said, foreshadowing, and you'll be able to go back and go, oh, okay, or 3 or 4 possible people who it could be, but nope, just completely fucking turns everything on its head for no reason other than to have a dramatic plot twist at the end of a book. I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Hold on, Harry Potter's a national hero.
Okay,
Don't get those fans upset. We'll be fucked.
Which nation would that be?
Oh,
well, I'm not gonna lie. Judging actually books 1 through 6 of Harry Potter with any sort of like literary standard is like judging Skittles with a culinary standard. It's
hell yeah.
They were meant to be for children, and like popcorn, right? It was meant. That I don't think anybody would argue that they have serious literary merit. I think the last one does have some literary merit, and I would actually put that up and say this book is a book. This book is not just something that
it's actually a novel, not just a little fun thing.
I would contrast that with Brian Jake's Redwall series, which if you haven't read, you should read if you have younger kids. Those are actually really good books, and obviously meant for a younger audience, but like we read them with our kids, and they were great. So I don't think just because you're aiming for a younger audience means you have to be there's no license to be a worse writer. Just you're writing for a younger audience.
To continue the analogy, if Harry Potter is Skittles, then Redwall might be apples, right? Kids can enjoy them, and adults can enjoy them, and they're good things. Like it's I read Bone with my girls. The Bone series is an amazing epic, very well written, and children could like it just as well as adults. So yes, I think there are lots of really, really good series that also are accessible to kids. I guess I'm agreeing with you, but in a way,
am I abandoned now? Are you agreeing but disagreeing with me?
No, I guess what I'm saying is I guess what I'm asking is I don't know who is defending Harry Potter as like a serious literary thing, right? I think it's in the same way that no one would say people could say I love Skittles, but nobody would say I think Skittles are a culinary treat.
Skittles are the best food. I said it.
They're filled with vitamins and food plants crave.
I'm thinking I got Skittles specifically from a John Mulaney joke where he was talking about this exact thing because he said
I like lobster and Skittles.
Yeah. He said I meet guys who say things like I like The Godfather and Scarface, and that's like somebody saying I like steak and Skittles. It's like Scarface is a terrible movie. It is fun to watch. Like it's a fun movie to watch, but it's a terrible movie. And so like there are lots of things like that. I think Harry Potter is really fun to read, but I don't think
I'm going to
it is.
watch Scarface and Godfather back to back for the first time. I'll let you know. I think he's onto something.
I will agree with
Jeremy,
you, though,
guess-
Aaron. As an adult, I didn't get to read the first Harry Potter until I was an adult, and I could not finish it because I couldn't eat that many Skittles. I was like, ugh, I can't do this.
I actually didn't enjoy
Yeah.
the first book. I had to like trudge through that one, and then I kind of was okay with the second one, and then the third, fourth, the rest of them I just gobbled up. Those were really fun. They're just awesome.
I think I watched all 8 movies before I read any of the books. And so me watching the movies as a kid was amazing because, they're coming out right when I was like, like 14 or something. Like, it was really cool. Then we're going back and rereading the books, like right after that. It was kind of a letdown, the first couple books were.
I saw the movie for book 6. And then at the end of book 6, I was like, "Wow, this story is really cool. I want to know how it ends." And so I got book 7, actually the week it came out. Like I didn't stand in line, but I was really early, and I got a Borders bookstore. I don't even know if that thing exists anymore. And,
Probably not.
And I got that book, and it's one of the only books I read cover to cover in a single sitting. The other ones being Dresden Files stuff. But that was back in college when I didn't have to sleep, and so I literally in order to stay awake and read the end, I paced in my room in a circle for 4 hours so that I wouldn't fall asleep and I could finish it.
And Ritalin.
No Ritalin necessary.
I feel so betrayed, Parker.
I didn't
we were supposed to stay up and finish Battlegrounds, not sleep until we finished the book, and you went to sleep. But you stayed up to read fucking, what is it, Deathly Hallows?
Yeah. And the reason why...
it's 800 pages or something.
And this is the reason why. There's two. I'll tell you 2 reasons. One is I am now at a different stage in my life. Sometimes, like during the summer, I'll wake up at 9 o'clock and I'm still tired at like 10 o'clock. That thing Aaron warned me about, where eventually I wouldn't be able to stay up late without like incredible effort, has happened. So that's one thing. And the second step is listening to things. It lulls me to sleep. Actually, like I actually, it's really hard for me to listen to something and stay on it. I need to be actively engaged in the reading. That's one. Like I will actually find if I'm reading a comic book, I will look up and the sun will come up sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, because I can keep doing that. But listening does lull me to sleep.
You just gotta take out some needle nose pliers and just start stabbing yourself and squeezing yourself to keep yourself awake.
Or I could just read it in a text-based format. I wonder what would happen if I did. I'm sure I would read it as Marsden reads it, right? I would
Marsters,
Marsters, sorry. Marsden, what did I say? Marsters. I would definitely do that.
You two need to fucking read Dresden Files already. You're missing out.
Nah.
Alright, let's go ahead and get into Mojo World, because we got a lot of meat on the bone today, so let's try and get through it. Alright, so Mojo World this week, we're doing breakfast food. The cereal inspired us to just do breakfast food tier list. I have a feeling this is going to be way more contentious than the cereal topic was, because nobody wanted the same ones. Alright, Jeremy, you get to go first. What is the best breakfast food?
Biscuits and gravy.
God damn it, that was my number 1.
Yeah, it's everybody's number 1. You just lost.
That is not true.
I hate biscuits and gravy.
I know.
You were wrong.
I'm glad.
Yeah, you are wrong. That is true.
Sorry,
according to the world, I am wrong at this, and so I'll have to just die one day knowing that I was wrong because of biscuits and gravy. But I'll take it to my grave.
We got biscuits and gravy. Aaron, you're up next.
So I have a controversial pick. I need a yay-nay on.
Grits?
No. Coffee. Just coffee.
I don't drink coffee, so I'm probably the wrong one to ask.
I just need to know if that's an okay breakfast, quote-unquote, food.
Oh, yeah. No, I think a lot of people... I don't normally eat breakfast. I think that's...
It's definitely breakfast time. That's fine.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll take it.
Most people do that.
So yeah, only because it is like, I would say 95% of the days I don't eat breakfast. So it is just coffee for me.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let's be specific. Coffee, black, no sugar.
No, just putting coffee.
Okay.
I'm not writing down how you take your eggs later. Like,
Oh wait, eggs eliminates all forms of eggs. I think that's kind of
No, I'm saying if you just eat eggs, like
Fuck,
you wanna say
fuck.
omelet, that's fine. Like I just eat like 4 eggs. You're like, sure.
You
Some
say
people
4
eat
eggs.
hard-boiled eggs,
I say
yeah.
5 eggs.
I usually
Parker's
eat
like
8.
3 eggs. You have the perfect number of eggs.
Anyway, Parker, you're up.
I am actually going to say French toast.
God, you guys, this was the wrong week to pick this. I knew I was going to get bodied because everyone's going to steal all the good ones. Fuck. Fine. Waffles. And I'm going to go with cereal. Because you guys took all the good ones. Because you're a bunch of cheaters.
I have lots left, actually. No one's taken any of mine yet, except me.
Because you don't like good food. You steal all mine.
I like all the weird breakfast things, that's for true.
So are you going to pick something?
Is it my turn? I'm going to go with eggs Benedict Florentine.
Nope. I'm not typing that.
Why can't I have that?
Not
Doesn't make any sense.
Eggs it is. All right, Aaron, you're up.
If you just put eggs, that'd be awesome.
Just put eggs.
That is not... Oh, God, Jesus Christ.
Well, pick something not fucking stupid. I'm not typing out fucking 30 words.
It's 3 words.
With cinnamon cooked at 312 degrees for
he's
68
saying-
seconds.
Last week you
called
did
egg
cinnamon
fuck
toast
off.
crunch.
It's
You
egg
can do
Benedict.
these 3 words.
Coffee.
Eggs
What's up,
Benedict.
Mr. Coffee?
That's it.
Eggs Benedict Florentine. That's not that hard.
God damn it. Fine. Eggs Benedict. Plain.
Eggs Benedict. Got it. Coffee.
If you
Mr.
want to stop
Coffee.
there, that's fine.
I'm not writing Florentine. What is this fucking crap?
It's the kind of eggs Benedict. There's like 5 kinds.
No, there's not. There's one kind. Aaron, you're up.
Skillet Scramble.
Which is just scrambled eggs with stuff.
Yeah, it's usually eggs, diced potatoes,
Like
some
peppers.
sort of
That's a
yeah,
frittata.
peppers.
It's called a frittata.
No. It's like scrambled eggs. Frittata is if it's
just
kinda like
scrambled
cooked
eggs
together.
with shit thrown in it. Yeah.
If you go to like
It's like
Country
fried
Kitchen or
rice
Denny's,
with eggs.
yes.
Yeah. Jeremy, you're up. You got your last 2 picks.
Bacon.
Like, you just eat bacon with nothing else?
I didn't know that we had to. Is this we're just doing entrees or
Yeah,
bacon's
it's
good.
The breakfast, yeah. That's fine.
bacon? Actually, I'm building breakfast. Hang tight.
Yes, biscuits and
Hold
gravy,
the
bacon,
phone.
and
Man, it's hard to beat waffle. You already said waffle. Pancakes. Florentine.
I'm glad you said it, because that was going to be the only thing that was going to go back to me. I was going to say pancakes and waffles. Aaron?
Oh, we're gonna have to go grits.
Fuck,
Knew it.
nobody said pizza. Dude, pizza in the
'cause
morning
it's not
is the
breakfast
fucking
food.
bomb. Yeah, it is. When you open it in the
Parker,
morning,
your final pick.
Pop-Tarts.
I was actually going to do that for a moment, but I actually am going for another like out of the early morning. I'm 5 years old. I want a toaster strudel. I love
Those are
toaster strudel.
good. With the little packet of
Yeah,
icing,
yeah.
the drizzle.
That's what I had. As a kid, I had only toaster strudels or Pop Tarts. That was my breakfast every day.
Mine was Eggos.
Mm.
Fucking blueberry
Eggos are
Eggos.
legit. I got waffles already, though, so get off my porch.
I had so many other ones that didn't get picked. Nobody said like scrambled eggs. I was the only picked an egg dish. That's interesting.
That's no fun. Who cares?
Skillet Scramble has eggs.
That's true.
Yeah, there's 2 primarily egg dishes already.
Breakfast burrito.
Am I the only one who likes cream of wheat? I like cream
No,
of wheat.
it's
Yes.
delicious. Grits with
Okay.
sugar in it? Fuck yeah.
Okay, Mr. works at an old home.
Dude,
I'm going to go with toast. I just like good toast.
dry.
No, not dry.
Toast
Good.
is great.
I like toast.
Dry.
There's something about toast specifically in the morning.
Better than wet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be wet with butter.
Well,
Have you ever had
after it's
apple butter?
dry? Yes.
Apple butter toast is where it's at. Love apple
Ooh.
butter
English
toast.
muffin. Oh my god, egg McMuffin.
No.
Just take the mick off and I'm fine.
That's true, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what it is. There's something about the egg McMuffin that is fucking delicious.
It-
It's
it's
just
gold
the
sugar
egg
and salt.
grease on top of like the McMuffin. Like, it's so good.
A slice of American
Anyway.
cheese goes a long way.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna wrap it up, man. There's a lot of stuff that I don't think any of us got what we wanted. Maybe Parker, but going last on this was brutal. Like 5 of my 6 picks were already gone by the time I got to really pick anything.
Literally fucking impossible.
Nope, that's how it works. Aaron,
did
why
say
don't you
like
just
5.
listen to what I'm saying and understand it?
Plain oatmeal.
I'm not that drunk.
I almost picked oatmeal, but toast is better. Jeremy, I don't know if you realize this, but I burned 2,000 calories in 20 minutes today.
Do tell.
I forgot about the brownies in the oven.
Ah.
Got him.
I like that one.
Got him. He didn't
whole
see it
lot.
coming at all. All right. Don't worry.
That's just
the best
clever.
is-
I don't even know if that's really a dad joke. That's
I know,
just
the
clever.
best is still coming, though. The best. Parker's going to love this one.
Ooh, okay.
All right, let's go ahead and get started.